Dan, I don't want to impose on what your students are going to say. But I mean, how much of the history in the background are they going to go into? So I don't know.
Not a lot.
Okay. Well, thank you. I just asked to put a little context on this place. Of course, it's layered with history and significance, architectural and historic. Of course, architectural, we just heard, is a wonderful example of Alexander Jackson Davis's Gothic Revival architecture. But putting it in context, Philip St. George Cock, for whom this house was built, went to West Point. And while a student there, he became interested in Gothic architecture. And he was a pretty competent designer himself. Of course, West Point had very elaborate engineering programs, and a lot of Cock's engineering drawings, which are almost beautiful architectural drawings, are still in possession of the Cock family at Greenwood. Of course, Philip St. George Cock was the son of General John Hartwell Cock, for whom the great Jeffersonian Palladian mansion up the river, Greenwood, was built. But he got Alexander Jackson Davis, of course, to design this house for him. And it's interesting what this property, or this house, spurred. Because Philip St. George Cock happened to be on the board of visitors at Virginia Military Institute when they needed additional buildings. So he got his friend and architect, Alexander Jackson Davis, to design the buildings that we know at VMI today, the barracks and the faculty houses there, which are National Historic Landmarks. Also, he said, by the way, while you're here, Powhatan County needs a new courthouse. So Alexander Jackson Davis designed the beautiful Greek Revival courthouse that is the historic courthouse of Powhatan County today. Wonderful building, a gem of Greek Revival architecture. And of course, his father, John Hartwell Cock, was interested in promoting temperance, because back then people drank bourbon to quench thirst, and everybody was drunk all the time. Nobody could get their business done. So his father wanted to encourage people to drink water instead of whiskey. So he built this, we had this spring down by the canal at Greenwood, and he wanted to make drinking water so attractive that he got Alexander Jackson Davis to build this lovely little Gothic or Doric, Greek Doric temple of temperance, where the water came by. So when the people came by on the canal and saw all this wonderful spring water, they would say, well, we're not going to drink whiskey, we'll drink water. Didn't work, because in the pool in front of the temperance temple was a large mint bin. So when they came over the whiskey, saw this mint, saw this nice spring water, you can put two and two together. Anyway, historically, this property is, of course, very significant from the standpoint of black history. Oh, before I get into that, I wanted to pass out, and I'll leave it here. I just ran these off this morning. Here is a photograph of Belmead when it still had the pinnacles on the towers there, and showed what a wonderful architectural accent these were. So I'll pass these around. And here, I ran off a couple of these. This is the elevation drawing about A.J. Davis of Belmead, which, along with the other architectural drawings of the property, are in the Metropolitan Museum collection. There are also some drawings in the New York Historical Society as well, and I think we ought to get copies of all of those. I'll just pass these around, but you can see what a striking example of Gothic architecture this was before the pinnacles were moved to the Calder. That's my priority. Look this back. That statement. And also, of course, A.J. Davis designed many wonderful buildings, including Lyndhurst, which is a great National Trust property. But he was so fond of his design for this house that he actually had a little engraving of it on his own personal writing paper. And here is that little engraving that he used on his writing paper. Several years ago, I worked on a book called Virginia Landmarks of Black History, and of course included Belmead in it. And I just wanted to read one page from that book that explains what the connection of this property is to black history. This will take just a minute. 1893, Colonel and Mrs. Edward DeVoe Morrell, Charrette of Philadelphia purchased Belmead, a large plantation on the James River in Powhatan County, to establish a school for black youth. The Gothic Revival Mansion, designed in 1845 by New York architect Alexander Jackson Davis, with Philip St. George Cobb, son of General John Hartwell Cobb of Bremo, formed the nucleus of the plantation. In their decision to become patrons of black education, the Morrells apparently were influenced by Mrs. Morrell's half-sister, Mother M. Catherine Drexel. Born into a rich and socially prominent Philadelphia Catholic family, Mother Catherine in 1889 decided to forego wealth and rank and enter religious life. With the support of the Archbishop of Philadelphia, she founded the Order of the Sisters of the Blessed Sacrament to serve the religious and educational needs of Indians and blacks. Like Mother Catherine, Colonel Morrell was especially concerned with equipping black youth for independence and self-sufficiency in post-Civil War America. By placing emphasis on practical skills, his approach was similar to that of Booker T. Washington. In a letter written in June 1925, Morrell stated that the school he planned at Belmead was never founded to impart higher education, but to give deserving young men an opportunity to become good, intelligent mechanics or agriculturalists. Name: St. Emma's Industrial and Agricultural School for Emma Bouvier Drexel, Mrs. Morrell's mother. The school opened in 1895 and admitted only boys of African descent from the South. The first graduate, John Paul Scott, received his diploma from Mrs. Morrell in 1899. The school flourished and soon was open to students from every part of the country. All students were required to take military training. Classes in numerous trades were offered, including blacksmithing, wagon building, automobile repair, carpentry, cooking, tailoring, masonry, and upholstery. Agricultural training was also an important part of the curriculum. In 1919, St. Emma's military program received official ROTC status from the War Department. The school was later renamed St. Emma's Military Academy and came under the administration of the Holy Ghost Followers, a Catholic order. Academic training became an increasingly important part of the program. During its 75 years of operation, St. Emma's graduated approximately 10,000 young men. Its program, blending practical skills of academic high school education and military instruction, received national recognition among blacks. Ironically, because of the school's self-sufficiency and isolation, it was little known among the general public in Virginia. The civil rights movement of the 1960s, coupled with school desegregation, led to a dwindling interest in attending an all-black, all-male school affiliated, a church-affiliated military school. Enrollment dropped and the school closed in 1972. Its custodians, the Sisters of the Blessed Sacrament, ordered the demolition of all the school buildings except the Belmead Mansion and the granary. In 1987, Belmead was leased by the Sisters for use as a Catholic high school, and that left in when? About 10 years later, right? Yeah. So now you got it all to yourselves.